Today, we're going to talk about a very specific drink that can actually help you unclog your arteries. And this connects deeply with all the consequences that come from arterial damage. Things like high blood pressure, clot formation that can lead to stroke, or even heart attacks. Now, one of the biggest problems I see when people visit their doctors is that most doctors don't really address the root cause. They usually focus on what happens later down the line, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and treat those symptoms. But the real issue starts much earlier. One of the key root causes of plaque buildup and heart attacks is something called endothelial damage. So what exactly is that? If you look at the inside of your arteries, there's a single thin layer of cells. That's called the endothelial layer. When this layer becomes damaged, a whole chain of reactions begin. The first thing that happens is inflammation. Your body, in response, tries to repair the area, and that repair process forms plaque, which is made of cholesterol, calcium, and protein. So essentially, plaque is your body's attempt to fix inflammation inside the arteries. But there's another important piece here: nitric oxide. When the endothelial layer gets damaged, nitric oxide levels drop. And that's a big problem because nitric oxide is what helps your arteries relax and open up, improving blood flow. When nitric oxide decreases, blood pressure rises, the risk of clotting increases, and circulation gets compromised. In fact, nearly 90% of heart attacks involve clots, and a major reason for that is damage to the endothelial lining. Without enough nitric oxide, your arteries become stiffer and thicker, your blood pressure goes up, and inflammation worsens. Unfortunately, most doctors only focus on blood pressure numbers, not on healing the endothelial layer itself. The good news is there are natural ways to keep your nitric oxide levels high. First, sunlight. Being in the sun gives you vitamin D, which is a powerful booster for nitric oxide. Plus, half of the sun's energy comes from infrared rays, and those also stimulate nitric oxide production. Second, breathing through your nose helps naturally raise nitric oxide levels. Third, magnesium. This mineral supports nitric oxide and keeps your arteries relaxed. Now, if you already have plaque in your arteries, you might wonder, can it be reversed? Yes, your body has a built-in process called reverse cholesterol transport, RCT. This is a system that takes cholesterol buildup from your arteries and sends it back to the liver for recycling. There's often confusion about cholesterol. Many people think dietary cholesterol is the main problem, but that's not true. Most of your body's cholesterol is made by your liver because it's essential for hormone production and many other functions. To support reverse cholesterol transport, you can use niacin, vitamin B3, which helps remove cholesterol from the arteries. HDL cholesterol, the so-called good cholesterol, also plays this role. It collects cholesterol from your arteries and delivers it back to your liver. Exercise, intermittent fasting, and low-carb diets are also very effective in improving this process. Now let's talk briefly about carbohydrates. A lot of people consume 45 to 65% of their calories from sugars and starches, which equals about 50 to 100 teaspoons of sugar every day. But your body only needs about 1 teaspoon of sugar circulating in the blood at any given time. So how can people eat so much sugar and still have normal blood sugar levels? That's because your body produces insulin, which works like a vacuum cleaner, pulling sugar out of your bloodstream. But this can't go on forever. After 15 to 20 years, your pancreas gets worn out, insulin levels drop, and blood sugar starts to rise, leading to prediabetes and eventually diabetes. Excess sugar also gets converted into cholesterol and fat, particularly in the liver. A low-carb diet can reduce up to 40% of liver fat in just 2 weeks. Plus, too much sugar damages your arteries, causing the inflammation that starts this entire problem in the first place. This is why a low-carb diet is critical for keeping nitric oxide levels high and protecting your arteries. Now, about bile salts. They help your body get rid of extra cholesterol. People who've had their gallbladder removed often struggle with cholesterol buildup because bile flow becomes less efficient. And what about calcium buildup in the arteries? Magnesium is the key mineral that keeps calcium under control. Arteries tighten when calcium enters the muscle wall, and they relax when magnesium is present, so magnesium helps balance that. Another key nutrient is vitamin K2. It prevents calcium from building up in your arteries and directs it back to your bones and teeth where it belongs. And finally, let's talk about the drink that can make a huge difference: cacao powder. Cacao, not cocoa, is the raw, unroasted form of the cacao bean, the source of chocolate. Cacao powder is loaded with flavanols, which are plant compounds rich in antioxidants and amazing for your cardiovascular system. Cacao powder actually acts like exercise in a cup. In one study, researchers compared blood flow improvements from cacao powder to moderate exercise, and the results were almost identical. That's because cacao activates enzymes that help your body produce more nitric oxide naturally, improving blood vessel flexibility. One thing I personally love to do is mix cacao powder with beetroot powder. Beetroot is very high in natural nitrates, which directly raise nitric oxide levels, while cacao stimulates your body to make more. Together, they're a powerful combination. You can mix cacao and beetroot powders in warm, not boiling, water, or even drink it cold. Avoid adding it to boiling water since heat can destroy some of the beneficial compounds. Now, cacao powder has cumulative benefits. Over time, it actually retrains your arteries to produce more nitric oxide, keeping them more elastic and useful. One study showed that people aged 50 to 80 who consumed cacao daily for just 2 weeks had arterial thickness similar to people 20 to 30 years younger. And cacao isn't just good for your heart, it also supports your brain, skin, and overall circulation. If you want the full heart health benefits, try having your cacao drink 2 hours before or after coffee, because caffeine can slightly restrict blood vessels, which counteracts the nitric oxide benefits. But if you're after a brain boost, you can mix it with your coffee if you like. Sometimes I'll add a small pinch of sea salt or a scoop of magnesium glycinate for extra heart support. And whenever possible, choose organic cacao powder, since it's less likely to contain chemical residues from processing. Give it a try for a couple of weeks and see how you feel. You might be surprised at the difference. And if you want to know the best meal to help unclog your arteries, I have another video on that topic. Check it out next.